This is DC Channel Guns. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.
You know which business is not? Gun sellers. Our Gerard Ramallo with how many buyers are actually getting their first guns and prompting police to make sure to let everybody know how to be safe to avoid gun accidents.
Well, guys, we've been reporting about the grocery store sales and how they're selling out of things like packaged goods and toilet paper, things like that. Another hot item right now is guns. Here at Spartan Arms, a local gun shop, you can see they've even posted a list of all the items that are no longer in stock.
This is the highest amount of gun sales and ammunition sales in recorded history.
Brandon Burns manages Spartan Arms and Range Supplies in North Las Vegas. One look at his shelves and cabinets, it's clear very little stock remains.
We sold probably close to 500 handguns alone just for the month of March.
It's a similar story nationwide. Demand for virtually every type of firearm at an all-time high.
I mean, from our experience, what we're seeing, it's been 90+% first-time buyers.
Law enforcement says firearms training is key. Since the pandemic buying spree began, Las Vegas has experienced casualties.
We've had 2 incidents this month where children have been injured by accidental gunfire. An accident with a firearm could result in death, and no one wants that in their household.
Range experts with Metro Police say owning a gun means knowing the mechanics of the firearm before it's ever even loaded.
There's several different fundamentals to being a good marksman. It's more than just pointing it and pulling the trigger.
From lining up the sights to knowing where to rest your trigger finger before you're ready to fire. And above all, numerous safety protocols, including how to store it.
Simply putting this on top of a cabinet, putting it under a pillow, in a drawer, that's not going to be acceptable.
And even if you fired weapons in the past, I discovered it's pretty easy to get rusty.
Just like anything, if you don't practice, you're not going to be proficient.
Okay, I got a couple in here. Some pretty significant misses.
Police suggest regular practice to sharpen skills. The worst thing you can do right now, they say, is to buy a firearm and just put it away without taking the time to learn how to use it.
Just remember that the thing that you're holding on to, the thing that you're buying, is very capable of taking a life.
Don't forget, if you are interested in purchasing a firearm, you will be required to do a background check, and typically that would only take a few hours, but guess what? They are backed up as well, anywhere from several days on up to a week.
Stretch at Bill's Gun Shop and Range. It was almost hard to keep up.
It was probably 3 times the volume that we would normally see.
Owner John Munson believes the coronavirus pandemic put people in a panic. Many worried about being locked inside and wondering how they're going to protect themselves.
We just saw a ton of traffic.
Minneapolis and St. Paul police also saw a major increase in permit-to-purchase applications. MPD reporting 109 more than this same time last year, and St. Paul PD had 153 applications during 1 week in the middle of March. They average about 31 a week in 2020.
That was definitely the biggest rush. A lot of first-time buyers.
But then Governor Walz's stay-at-home order went into effect, and despite being considered an essential business, things changed at Bill's Gun Shop.
We get a trickle of business coming through, but it's slow.
This all comes at a time when there's a national debate over whether gun shops should even be open during this pandemic. Minnesota law made that clear back in 2015.
Mainly, it required that gun shops would need to stay open if the governor had declared a state of emergency.
But a petition is spreading across the country to keep gun shops closed, saying, quote, firearms won't make people safer in the face of this pandemic. House Minority Leader Kurt Doudt stresses Minnesota law gives people a right to the Second Amendment.
We understand that's their point of view, but a time of emergency is not a time to play politics.
Even with the doors open, Bill's Gun Shop is adjusting, closing on Sundays and shutting down the range.
When our ranges closed down, that really put the bricks on for us, because our range business and the training is really a big element for us.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no problem.
And like many businesses, figuring out what the new normal will look like and for how long.
Every time there's a calamity, they beat feet to the gun store and arm themselves more and more and more and more and more.
The country's almost sold out of certain guns and ammo online, according to a local gun store owner, Marty Borum. March was the second busiest month ever for gun sales. The FBI processed a record 3.7 million gun background checks.
I've seen, Barack Obama's first election, that was a windfall. Second election, that was a windfall. Sandy Hook, that was a windfall, on and on and on. This one is different.
Marty Borum is the owner of Black Creek Armory in Clay County. He sells some retail, but it's mostly online sales. Since the coronavirus pandemic, he says most local gun stores are just trying to keep up with demand.
The industry is seeing a record number, 300 to 500% increase. It started in the retail stores, and when the retail stores sold out, then it shifted to businesses like mine online. Quite an increase.
Some experts suggest the mass social uncertainty of the coronavirus has caused more people to buy guns. Borum thinks it's more about what could come after the pandemic.
Yeah, they're stressed about their safety. Absolutely. But they're not afraid. I see hundreds of people. They're not afraid. They're stressed, but it's not fear.
Economy and a federal gun law loophole.
We've been having historical numbers here at the CBI.
Susan Medina is a spokesperson for the CBI. Her team has been working nonstop to sort through a backlog of 9,000 background check requests from gun dealers across the state. What usually takes 8 minutes to turn around is currently taking 4 business days.
Say they don't know what's going to happen. They want to protect their families. They want to protect their lives.
Warren Marshall owns G&G Guns in Lakewood. He told us over the phone that COVID-19 has people flocking to gun stores. He says the last time sales peaked like this was just before the last presidential election.
AR-15s were the ones that were getting out the door. Now with shotguns, and I don't know why.
Along with the demand, CBI officials say social distancing is changing the Bureau's workflow.
Obviously, we're in a very different time. This isn't a situation where we can throw staff members in a room and they can knock this down.
Under federal law, if CBI cannot approve or deny a sale in 3 business days, a dealer is legally allowed to sell a gun to a person who may be considered unfit to own a gun.
Strongly encourage our FFLs across the state to hold those weapons until the background checks are completed.
The Bureau says at least one shop has already exercised the loophole and sold a gun to a person who should not have one. Agents are now working to recover that weapon. Overall, though, the state says dealers are cooperating.
We've had very positive feedback from our licensed firearms dealers in saying that, yes, they are going to hold those firearms until the background checks are complete.
G&G Guns is one of the shops playing it safe, honoring CBI's request.
People understand. CBI is doing a wonderful job of making sure people are correctly being cleared or not. They're staying after hours and before hours.
I have the Glock 36 to use, but I do not have the 26 available.
This kind of call can be a good problem for a small business owner. Kurt Lieberman only opening Tar River Arms last year. He admits the coronavirus probably doing a lot more for him than his advertising.
Came really quick. I kind of watched the ammo go first.
Michigan, Arizona, New Hampshire, all showing more than 100% increases in federal background checks, which are required for every legal firearm purchase from an authorized dealer. Maryland rounding out the top 5 with a 96% increase, and that's a state with some of the strictest gun laws in the country. North Carolina, meanwhile, also showing a huge increase in demand, 59% since last month. Several gun store owners across the Triangle telling the I-Team, first-time buyers are making up the bulk of customers.
Sometimes they'll say, hey, I'm a first-time buyer. Can you help me pick out what I'm trying to do? And then we ask a bunch of questions. Some of them just kind of come in without knowing the process. They kind of come in and they can just pick up a pistol without a permit or something like that, and then they just kind of go. And then you kind of feel it out as time goes. You go, okay, you ready? Yep. Do you have a pistol permit? No.
Historically, smaller guns, handguns, pistols, they're easier to steal and they're easier to conceal. So in North Carolina, it is the law that to buy a handgun, you must first obtain a permit, and generally that means you visit the sheriff's office in your county. And that might explain another dominant trend in this surge in gun sales, the popularity of long guns, shotguns and rifles that are not easy to steal or conceal. FBI showing background checks for long guns at registered dealers surging more than threefold between February and March. Handguns meanwhile up, but only about a quarter. But just as gun sales are going up, Lieberman's saying so is interest in gun safety courses. He doesn't let any customer leave without knowing what's at stake.
Understanding the weapon that you're purchasing and how to manage it and how to shoot it is everything when it comes to safety.
This is DC Channel Guns. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching.